So hello everybody and welcome back to the Home Wood Shop. We're going to see how much work we can get done on this guy. If you hadn't noticed that there's a theme, well, this is, I believe, part 4 of making a bed frame. And if you saw last week's video, I show you how to make these slots and how to actually get them fitted. So if you haven't seen that, go watch that. If you have seen that, stay tuned. We're gonna put in as many of these as we can today. Okay, so my saw has gotten really dull from all this cutting and having used it for a long time. So we're gonna sharpen it, and I guess I'll show you guys how. Okay, so I've assembled most of the tools we need. Actually, it should be all the tools we need. Yep. So the way that we do this is that we use 2 pieces of wood to clamp this into the vise. I'll actually do it this way. But we wanna clamp it as high up as we can get. Ugh, juggling the wood's always exciting. Usually you can take a screwdriver or a screw gun or something and make an actual jig for this, but we're just doing this real quick. So you want to get it close, and we're gonna wiggle this guy down just about as far as we can. Make sure it's not touching the bottom of the vise. And clamp it. Because the more it wiggles, the harder it is to sharpen. I'm actually gonna grab a chair because this does take a couple of minutes sometimes. All right, the next piece is that we use one of these little triangle files and we sharpen the back. Okay. So we've gone through once. Now we need to basically increase the angle. There's basically a triangle that it's doing. And it's also got a little lip at the top. So it's basically a 3-sided. What I just did was file a little bit of this. So now we're gonna file this side, bring it back just a hair, and then we're probably gonna straighten out this top. So let's do that real quick. All right, so now we're gonna go back, do all the tops, get that small little tip just a little more filed. Whew, that got sharp quick. So now, we're gonna release this, flip it over, and do the same on the other side. The tighter you can get this, the better. I'm actually gonna flip this. Align it. Put it in, kind of right in the middle. And squeeze. Cool. Now this side's a little bit different. Every other tooth, they're basically interlocking, so they're offset slightly. So some of these are at a couple degrees this way, some of them are at the exact opposite angle that way. So we're gonna have to do every other one, and then we're gonna have to come back and we're gonna have to do the ones that we didn't just do. We're gonna have to straighten that out. If you look at them, it's pretty easy to tell which direction most of them go. It's pretty much a question of which way does the file actually fit. You want to try and maintain the same angles, but unfortunately I don't have, oops, that got chipped. I don't have a high enough angle file for this, missing one. So we are going to only be working the tops. It's not bad, it's just not ideal. And you want to file the exact same amount on every one of them, because you need the tops to be the same, or else you'll start getting a bit of jerking, because it'll hit one, and then it'll miss the next and drop it deeper, and then it'll hit the next one and you'll get a small jerk, which is not ideal. It makes it really hard to cut. And should be sharpened. So back to work. Okay, so slightly production style on the cutting. Now we're gonna go through, pound out all of the chunks that we just cut, and then we're gonna go through and fit every one of them. Let's get started. So every one of these now has a slot. We now need to fit them all in the opposite board, size them, and slot them all in. Yeah, so close. The frame's almost prepped. Let's do it. Okay, so when I was putting this one in, it has a huge twist to it. And when I put it in, I heard cracking. That's really bad, especially if it's on this big piece, because, well, that's a lot of work to replace one of these big ones. So we're actually going to cut some relief into this. That way it can actually sit at a twist. It's not quite ideal, but it's the best way to do it. This one has a huge twist. This one's okay. It's okay. That's okay. That's okay. And that's okay. So it's just this one. But it's got this gigantic twist, and we're gonna have to compensate for that. Okay, so that's a huge amount of relief. I can almost stick a finger in down here, but I had to cut a huge angle. Let's hope we don't have to do that again. We might, but this one's good now. Well, there's a bit of bowing, so I might, there's just a stick of one under there. All right, continuing. Okay, so we just got all this fitted this ways, because this one's twisted too for some reason. And we're off by 1/2 inch on the cut. Should have brought them over, lined them up, and then cut them. Something to know for next time, but now we gotta recut this. Down to one more. Getting so close. Then you have to do the headboard. So not too close, but very close. So one more. Okay, that was a ton of work. But now they're all fitted. They're all pretty snug actually, which is really nice, except for this one. Didn't take a huge chunk out of it practically. But that is the bottom of the bed frame. So we need to do a whole bunch of sanding on all of these. They've got little boogers everywhere from the milling process. Then we need to do the headboard, and we need to stain everything. That's gonna be a lot of work. We're probably gonna have to do that in batches. Or at least I will. Maybe a couple every day. Depends on how many little bumps I got. But that's all for today. Thanks for sticking around. I'm glad we got the base finished. And we'll see you guys next time in the next episode. was a lot of fun. Let's do it again next week.